When a Hollywood superstar worth over $380 million walks into a restaurant, you'd expect red carpet treatment. But what happens when that celebrity deliberately keeps their fame under wraps? Keanu Reeves, one of Hollywood's most beloved actors, was publicly humiliated by a waiter who had no idea who they were talking to. And when his longtime friend, Sandra Bullock, witnessed it all, her revenge left the entire restaurant in stunned silence. Picture this: the exclusive Lumiere restaurant in Beverly Hills, where a single meal costs more than most people's weekly grocery budget. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over sleek marble floors, and waiters in crisp uniforms glide between tables, serving Silicon Valley executives and entertainment moguls. Through the grand entrance walks Keanu Reeves, not dressed in designer labels, but in worn jeans, a simple t-shirt, and scuffed boots. His hair is slightly tousled, his appearance unassuming. He looks nothing like the A-list star who commands $15 million per film. Ashley, the restaurant's most senior waitress, spots him instantly. Her eyes narrow with disdain as she strides over, her posture stiff with practiced superiority. Keanu has chosen a quiet table away from the limelight, but that doesn't stop her from making a scene. "Excuse me, sir," Ashley says, her voice loud enough to draw attention from nearby diners. "There may have been a misunderstanding. We have a strict dress code and a minimum spending requirement. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the diner down the street." A hush falls over the restaurant. Silverware clinks against plates as patrons glance up, some barely concealing their curiosity. Keanu, as calm and composed as ever, simply smiles. "I appreciate your concern," he says evenly. But I'd like to stay. I'm expecting someone." Ashley rolls her eyes, making sure her exaggerated reaction doesn't go unnoticed. With an exasperated sigh, she drops a menu onto the table. "Oh, fine, but just so we're clear, our entrees start at $95. I hope that's not a problem." What Ashley doesn't know, what she couldn't possibly imagine, is that not only is Keanu Reeves a major investor in the Lumiere restaurant group, but the person he's waiting for has just arrived. And she has seen everything. Standing near the entrance, Sandra Bullock takes in the scene. Her shock quickly morphs into quiet fury. And what she's about to do won't just teach Ashley a lesson she'll never forget. It will also reveal exactly why Keanu Reeves is Hollywood's most respected good guy. Before we dive into this incredible story of humility, fame, and the perfect dose of justice, take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications. Tomorrow at 12:30 p.m., we're releasing an exclusive feature on how another Hollywood legend secretly paid a stranger's college tuition, an untold story you won't want to miss. And let us know in the comments, have you ever had an unexpected encounter with a celebrity? Now, back to Lumiere Restaurant. This isn't just a place to eat. It's a symbol of status in Beverly Hills. Nestled on Rodeo Drive, surrounded by luxury boutiques and exotic car dealerships, the restaurant's polished marble facade and gold-trimmed windows exude exclusivity before you even step inside. For 15 years, its reputation has been carefully cultivated. Reservations are booked 3 months in advance, and its clientele includes Hollywood royalty, tech billionaires, and international elites who crave both exquisite cuisine and absolute discretion. Inside, opulence is measured in details. Hand-painted murals glow under the cascading light of crystal chandeliers, each table strategically placed for both privacy and visibility, a delicate balance that the ultra-wealthy appreciate. The silverware is genuine silver, the glasses are hand-blown crystal, and for the most exclusive menu items, prices aren't listed. If you have to ask, you don't belong. Ashley Parker has worked at Lumiere for 7 years, and in that time she has developed an inflated sense of self-importance. Her appearance is flawless, hair slicked into a sleek bun, uniform pressed to perfection, posture rigid as a ruler. She prides herself on distinguishing the truly wealthy from the pretenders. You can always tell by the shoes. She often brags to new staff, and by the way they order. Real money doesn't try to impress. Over time, Ashley has perfected a 2-tier service system. Lavish attention for those she deems worthy, barely concealed disdain for those she considers beneath the restaurant's standards. Despite repeated warnings from management about her selective service, she remains untouchable. Because she knows exactly how each studio executive takes their martini, which tech mogul needs an extra napkin under their water glass, and which celebrity chef insists on sitting away from the kitchen doors. That specialized knowledge has kept her safe. Until... Keanu Reeves is everything Ashley fails to understand about true wealth and status. Despite having enough money to buy the entire restaurant building outright, he chooses to live simply, treating others with kindness rather than superiority. His humility baffles Hollywood insiders. Stories of him riding the subway, giving up his seat for strangers, and quietly donating millions to children's hospitals have cemented his reputation as one of the industry's most selfless figures. His 6-month investment in Lumiere wasn't about prestige. It was about creating more jobs in the community, a detail known to management but not to the staff. And today, Keanu Reeves isn't here to show off. He's here for a quiet meeting with Sandra Bullock to discuss their latest charity initiative for homeless youth in Los Angeles. He chose his outfit deliberately. He walked in unannounced. But Ashley just made the biggest mistake of her career. Keanu Reeves had come straight from volunteering at a homeless shelter downtown. The worn jeans, simple gray t-shirt, and scuffed boots that so deeply offended Ashley's sensibilities had spent the morning serving meals and handing out supplies to people who had nothing. Now, inside Lumiere, Ashley led him to the worst table in the restaurant, a cramped, wobbly two-top near the swinging kitchen doors where the noise made conversation nearly impossible. She didn't even attempt to hide her disdain. Instead of placing the leather-bound menu down with care, she tossed it onto the table, making it land askew. No offer of the wine list, no professional courtesy. Her tone dripped with condescension. The special today is a truffle-infused filet with gold-flaked risotto, she announced, deliberately emphasizing the luxury. It's $375 before wine pairing. Nearby diners started to take notice. A retired couple at the next table exchanged concerned glances. The husband, a former film producer, squinted at Keanu, recognition slowly dawning on his face. His wife placed a gentle hand on his arm, silently urging him to stay quiet. 3 tables over, a young tech entrepreneur who had recently made his first million fidgeted. No. He recognized the mistreatment but didn't have the confidence to step in. Through it all, Keanu remained unbothered. His genuine smile never wavered. "Thank you," he said simply, glancing at his watch. Hunter should be arriving any minute now. What he didn't realize was that his longtime friend and Speed co-star had already entered the restaurant earlier than planned, and she had been watching the entire exchange unfold from the bar. Her expression grew darker with every passing moment. Ashley, meanwhile, only escalated her behavior. After abandoning Keanu with the menu, she made a deliberate show of fawning over other tables. She laughed too loudly at a hedge fund manager's joke, refilled barely touched water glasses, and presented each dish with over-the-top enthusiasm, all while throwing quick, sidelong glances at Keanu, ensuring he noticed the stark contrast in service. When he finally lifted his hand slightly to indicate he was ready to order, Ashley ignored him. For 5 full minutes, she busied herself rearranging polished silverware and chatting idly with the sommelier. Several times, she glanced directly at him, only to turn away with feigned indifference. The retired film producer at the next table cleared his throat loudly, a polite attempt to signal the neglect, but Ashley ignored that too. Finally, she strutted over, tapping her pen against her notepad in mock impatience. "Have you finally decided what you can afford?" she asked, her voice deliberately loud enough for nearby diners to hear. Conversations faltered. Heads turned. Keanu looked up, still perfectly composed. "I'll have the wild mushroom risotto and a glass of water, please." The risotto was one of the least expensive dishes on the menu, a choice that seemed to confirm Ashley's bias. She didn't even bother writing it down, as if it wasn't worth the effort. "No wine?" she asked, one eyebrow arched. It's quite basic. Most of our guests prefer to experience the full culinary journey. Her pointed emphasis on guest made it clear. She didn't consider him one. Keanu's answer remained as unshakable as his patience. "Adjust the risotto." "Thank you." He handed her the menu. Ashley took it with the tips of her fingers, as if handling something unclean. "As you wish. Your water will be right out." Instead of delivering the order, she made her way to the service station, where she gestured back toward Keanu's table while speaking to another server. The second server glanced over and smirked, nodding at whatever Ashley was saying. 20 minutes passed before a different server, clearly junior staff, arrived with Keanu's water. Unlike the pristine lemon-garnished, perfectly chilled glasses at other tables, this one lacked a slice of lemon and had ice haphazardly tossed in. The young man hesitated, seeming uncomfortable. "Ashley's handling some VIP tables," he mumbled apologetically. "Her risotto will be out eventually." 30 more minutes dragged by, an unacceptably long wait for a restaurant of Lumiere's caliber. By the time Ashley finally returned, other guests who had arrived much later were already finishing their meals. She placed the plate down without a word, skipping the usual presentation, the fresh grating of Parmesan, the offer of cracked pepper from a long-stemmed mill. "One mushroom risotto," she said flatly. Keanu glanced across the room. At another table, the same dish had been served in a noticeably larger portion. Ashley's lips curled into a saccharine smile. "Will there be anything else? Perhaps you'd like to hear about our desserts? We have a simple vanilla ice cream that might be more appropriate." The meaning was clear. She was suggesting the cheapest option, a final jab at his supposed lack of wealth. From her position at the bar, Sandra Bullock had seen enough. Her grip on her clutch tightened until her knuckles turned white. A mix of protectiveness and sheer outrage radiated from her posture. The bartender, having followed her gaze, winced. He had recognized both Keanu and Sandra long ago, and he understood exactly what was happening. But Ashley? She was still blissfully unaware. Back at the service station, she began mimicking Keanu's soft-spoken politeness to another server. She gave a dramatic bow, mocking a thank you. "That will be all." The second server stifled a laugh. "He's probably going to ask for a doggy bag to take home the leftovers," Ashley scoffed. "You know the type." At a nearby table, the retired couple exchanged another uneasy glance. The woman leaned in, whispering something to her husband. He nodded grimly. 3 tables away, a well-dressed woman in her 50s, one of Lumiere's long-standing patrons, caught the eye of the maître d', and just like that, the balance of the room shifted. Ashley had no idea, but her time was almost up. The well-dressed woman who had caught the maître d's eye earlier makes a subtle gesture toward Keanu's table, her expression one of quiet concern. The atmosphere in this section of the restaurant has shifted. What started as uncomfortable tension has now become something more palpable. More diners have taken notice of the inappropriate treatment unfolding before them, their murmured conversations hushed as they watch. Keanu, however, remains composed, eating his risotto with apparent enjoyment. Whether he is genuinely unbothered by Ashley's behavior or simply choosing not to let it affect him, his calm demeanor only seems to frustrate her further. His refusal to be provoked is, in itself, a challenge to her authority in this carefully curated space. What Ashley doesn't realize is that her performance has drawn the attention of someone far more significant than the restaurant's regular clientele. Sandra Bullock has seen enough. As Keanu takes his last bite of risotto, Sandra makes her decision. Rising from her bar stool with effortless grace, she smooths her designer dress and begins a purposeful walk across the restaurant floor. The maître d' spots her immediately. His eyes widen in recognition, and he hurries to intercept her. But Sandra has already set her course. She moves directly toward Keanu's table, her presence impossible to ignore. Ashley, returning to Keanu's table to ask if he's managed to finish everything, stops mid-stride as the restaurant's atmosphere shifts dramatically. Whispers spread. Even the background music seems to lower in deference. Sandra Bullock, Oscar winner, Hollywood powerhouse, a list celebrity, and one of Lumiere's most valued clients. Ashley's posture stiffens. Her entire demeanor transforms in an instant, back straight, a rehearsed smile snapping into place. She rushes forward to intercept Sandra before she can reach the table. "Miss Bullock!" "What an honor!" Ashley gushes, her voice taking on an eager, ingratiating tone. We had no idea you were joining us tonight. Let me prepare our finest table immediately. Sandra stops, fixes Ashley with a cool, unwavering stare. Then, in a voice just loud enough for the surrounding diners to hear, she says, "Oh, thank you, but I see my dinner companion is already seated." She gestures toward Keanu, who turns and greets her with a warm, familiar smile. Ashley's face drains of color. Her mouth opens, then closes, then opens again. I didn't realize. Clearly, Sandra replies smoothly, stepping past the stunned waitress. Keanu rises as Sandra approaches, and they embrace warmly, the kind of hug that speaks of years of friendship. Any doubt about their relationship vanishes in an instant. This is not a Hollywood acquaintance. This is family. "Sorry I'm late," Sandra says, just loud enough for Ashley to hear. "The traffic on Sunset was terrible. I hope you haven't been waiting long." "Not at all," Keanu replies with a knowing smile, just enjoying the unique hospitality. Sandra settles into her seat, then turns her attention to Ashley, who remains frozen a few feet away, uncertainty written all over her face. "We'll need another menu, please," Sandra says smoothly, "and perhaps you could tell us about today's specials." "All of them, not just the ones you think we can afford." The dining room has gone completely silent. Every patron is watching. Ashley swallows hard, then steps forward, a menu clutched to her chest like a shield. Her hands tremble slightly as she places it before Sandra. "And some water for my friend," Sandra adds, nodding toward Keanu's empty glass. His seems to have evaporated. Ashley scurries away, her face burning with humiliation. At a nearby table, a woman leans in and whispers to her companion. That's Sandra Bullock defending Keanu Reeves. This is better than any movie they've made together. From across the room, the restaurant manager emerges, alerted to the presence of not one but two Hollywood icons. His face is tight with panic as he takes in the tense atmosphere and Ashley's obvious distress. Hastily smoothing his suit jacket, he makes his way to their table, his posture deferential. "Mr. Reeves, Miss Bullock, what an honor," he says, bowing slightly. "I hope everything is to your satisfaction." Sandra exchanges a glance with Keanu. The moment of reckoning has arrived. "Oh, everything is perfect now," she replies, her smile pointed. "Though I am curious, why was my friend seated here when the restaurant is half empty?" The manager's eyes dart nervously to Ashley, who stands rigidly nearby, her face ashen. "Apologize for any misunderstanding," the manager stammers. "We value all our guests equally." "Do you?" Sandra asks lightly, though there is unmistakable steel beneath her words. She turns to Keanu. "Didn't you mention you had a meeting with the investment group about this place next week?" Keanu nods slightly. "Tuesday, yes. The quarterly review of Lumiere Group properties." The manager's expression shifts from confusion to shock. Understanding dawns. "You're part of the investment team?" he asks hesitantly. Sandra's lips curve into a knowing smile. "He's not just part of it," she clarifies, her voice carrying easily through the hushed dining room. "Keanu is the majority stakeholder. He purchased the controlling interest 6 months ago." A collective gasp ripples through the restaurant. Ashley drops the water pitcher she's holding. The crash of shattered glass and spilled water punctuates the silence like the final act of a play. The manager visibly pales. "Mr. Reeves, I had no idea. The corporate office never—" "That was intentional," Keanu interrupts gently. His voice is calm but firm. "I prefer to experience establishments authentically, not as an owner receiving special treatment." Sandra raises an eyebrow. "And how was your authentic experience today?" Keanu takes a sip of his water, now properly chilled with a perfect slice of lemon, and sets it down with quiet finality. "Educational," he replies simply. The manager swallows hard, then turns sharply to Ashley, his tone now laced with barely contained fury. "Ashley, please join me in my office." Immediately, Ashley's face is devoid of color, her mouth moving soundlessly. But before she can take a step, Sandra speaks again. "Actually," she says, tilting her head thoughtfully, "I have a better idea." She looks at Keanu. A silent communication passes between them, one built on years of shared history. Keanu nods. Sandra turns back to Ashley, her expression unreadable. "We could use your help with our new project." The restaurant patrons lean forward, collectively straining to hear what comes next. The stage is set. And Ashley's fate is about to be rewritten. Ra's masterstroke, a revenge that will be remembered. Ashley. Sandra's voice is surprisingly gentle. Do you know why Keanu is dressed like this today? Ashley shakes her head, unable to speak. Keanu watches her carefully before answering. We spent the morning at the Horizon Youth Center, serving meals, distributing supplies to homeless teenagers. Sandra maintains eye contact with the waitress, her tone unwavering. The same center where we're launching our mentorship program next month. Keanu nods. I didn't change because I came straight from there. Those kids were more important than my appearance. The restaurant remains silent. Even the kitchen staff has emerged to witness the unfolding scene. Sandra leans forward slightly. You judged someone entirely by their clothes, as she says. Would you feel if your entire worth was determined by your uniform? Tears well in Ashley's eyes. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. That's precisely the point, Sandra replies, her voice firm but not unkind. You never know someone's story. The dishwasher you ignore might be working 3 jobs to pay for medical school. The person in simple clothes might have donated more to charity last year than you'll earn in a lifetime. The manager steps forward hastily. Miss Bullock, Mr. Reeves, I assure you, Ashley will be terminated immediately. No, Keanu says, surprising everyone. That solves nothing. Sandra smiles, understanding immediately. Firing her teaches nothing, she agrees. But I have a proposition. She turns to Ashley. The Horizon Youth Center needs volunteers, committed ones. 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 2 shifts per week. Ashley blinks, confused. You'll work directly with the teens, Sandra clarifies, teaching them service industry skills. Many need jobs but lack basic training. And Keanu adds, you'll get to know them as people, not appearances. Ashley wipes her tears. I'll do it. I want to. The manager, sensing the shift, quickly nods. Lumiere will adjust her schedule to accommodate this volunteer work, and will implement sensitivity training for all staff immediately. A slow applause begins from a nearby elderly couple, then spreads across the restaurant. Soon the entire dining room is clapping. Sandra turns to Keanu with a satisfied smile. And now, about that charity gala next month. 3 weeks later, the Horizon Youth Center buzzes with activity. Ashley stands at the front of a small classroom, demonstrating proper table-setting techniques to a group of attentive teenagers. Her hair is pulled back simply, her designer makeup replaced with a more natural look. The transformation in her demeanor is striking. Remember, it's not about fancy flourishes, she explains, placing a fork with precision. It's about making each person feel valued, no matter who they are. At the back of the room, Keanu and Sandra observe quietly. Sandra whispers, I wasn't sure she'd follow through. Keanu smiles. Well, people can surprise you when given the chance. After the lesson, the teens thank Ashley before dispersing. She approaches Keanu and Sandra, a genuine smile replacing the one that once felt so rehearsed. They're incredible, she says. Tanya just got hired at Cafe Meridian. And Marcus has 2 interviews next week. Sandra nods approvingly. Oh, so the program's working. Ashley exhales, her voice softer. It's working for all of us. I've learned more from them than they have from me. Keanu smiles. That's usually how teaching works. Ashley hesitates. Mr. Reeves, I can never fully apologize for how I treated you. Keanu stops her with a gentle shake of his head. It's Keanu, he corrects. And the best apology is changed behavior. As the center's director approaches with news of increased funding, Ashley excuses herself to help a teen practice interview skills. Sandra watches her go, then turns to Keanu. Quite the transformation. Keanu's expression is thoughtful. The best revenge, he says quietly, is helping someone become better than they were. Sandra laughs. Only you would think of revenge that way. That's why it works. He replies with a knowing smile. 6 months later, Lumiere Restaurant is transformed. A new sign hangs discreetly near the entrance. All are welcome here. Inside, Ashley, now promoted to training manager, instructs new staff, her philosophy clear. The person in jeans might be a tech billionaire, she tells the trainees. The woman in workout clothes might be a federal judge, but even if they're neither, they deserve the same excellent service. That evening, a special dinner unfolds in the restaurant's private room. Keanu and Sandra host a celebration for graduates of the Horizon Youth Center's hospitality training program. 5 teens now employed in restaurants across Beverly Hills, including Lumiere itself, share their success stories. Tanya, wearing her new server uniform, stands and addresses the group. "Before this program, I was invisible," she says. "Ashley taught us service skills. But Mr. Reeves and Miss Bullock, they taught us something bigger. They showed us that everyone deserves to be seen." As the celebration winds down, the restaurant manager approaches with news. Applications to the program have tripled, and 3 more restaurants have joined the initiative. Keanu, Sandra, and Ashley share a moment of quiet satisfaction as they watch the graduates, once outsiders, now confidently navigating a space that once felt so exclusive. Sandra exhales. "You know," she muses, "when I saw how she was treating you that day, I wanted revenge." Keanu smirks. "And you got it," he replies. "Just not the kind most people would expect." Ashley smiles. "The best revenge isn't making someone suffer," she says softly. "It's helping them become better than they were." As they exit the restaurant, a paparazzi camera flashes. The next morning's headline reads, "Hollywood's Kindness Revolution: How Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock Transformed Restaurant Culture." A world obsessed with status and appearances had just been given something far more powerful. A reminder that sometimes the greatest statement isn't tearing someone down. It's showing them a better way to be. Or, as Keanu often says, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. You might just change someone's life, including your own.